Hey everybody, what's happening? It's Bill with Franklin Loan Center, and I want to today thank Barry Habib with MBS Highway for this topic. Although I'm doing my own spin on it. Look, I mean, we've been talking about why are rates high? It's inflation, and then now what the Fed has been talking about is also just the employment rate has been so strong. It's hard to, it's hard to just assume that the economy is going to crud and actually is in a position where the Fed should raise rates, right? So Fed stance, maybe not mine, right? But that's what they're leaning on. So one thing that Barry Habib was talking about this morning was, so one of the things that goes into the unemployment data, the once per month BLS thing that comes out, is that they look, of course, they're looking at the unemployment rate and all of that stuff, and there's this birth death calculation that goes into it, and what they're looking to do is look at how many businesses were born versus how many died, and then they apply this weird imputation regarding like an estimate on how many employees were at those companies, and then it gets plugged into the BLS number, right? And again, this is a really important number. The Fed's watching very closely. So two things that have been happening is, one, so the way those numbers work is the first Friday of every month, that number gets put out, right? And then what happens is the next month, what they do is they put in that month's numbers, and then they also do revisions to the previous month, right? So the weird part about that is that I think it's like 17 out of the last 18 months of data have been revised down. We're seeing actually a drop in the amount of job creations, right? So it's actually, the data's actually been worse on almost every revision except like one, I think maybe 1 or 2 months in like the last 18 months. So that smells weird. But then there's also a report that comes out, and this is like backwards looking, but the QCEW is this report that came out today. And it takes a closer look at that birth-death ratio, just that piece, right? And now what that came out and said today is, and this is for Q4 of last year, so October, November, and December, it said that October, November, and December were overstated by about 87,000 jobs per month, right? So they're doing monthly revisions down, and then now they do this revision, which brings it down even further. The problem is the market really only reacts to the headline number on the actual month, right? And all these revisions, I mean, and the market's basically flat today. It's not really even paying attention to this, but it's like, wait a minute, we're getting this data out there that on first look consistently is overstated. The next month it's brought down, and then they even take another look at it, and that's often being brought down even further. And then now this, that's just over it's a half year look back. It's also being showing that it's grossly overstated. So I don't want to start any conspiracies here, but like, what's going on, And again, I will say that look, these numbers are crazy to try and get. I mean, how do you look at a total workforce the size of the United States and make really good predictions? And so they kind of just have these methods, and they do it, and it is what it is. But it's just so odd to me that we're in such a long streak of just the numbers being overstated and overstated and overstated and overstated, and then boom, all of a sudden, the following months they're being brought down, which the market hardly even looks at. So anyway, looks a little weird. I think there are a lot of things. So speaking of going forward, there's a lot of things, and again, the Fed watching the unemployment data as closely as they are, I think it's really noteworthy that he's paying attention to this and theoretically has his finger on the pulse at least as much as Barry Habib, for goodness sake, and can really see that even though the actual BLS numbers we're seeing unemployment go up, we're seeing some of these things, but I think we're getting to a position where the Fed's really going to see these numbers for what they are, and could put us in a position. we're going to see. I don't think anybody's expecting any big changes out of next week's meeting, but September is almost completely assumed at this point that there's going to be a reduction in rates from the Fed. So let's see what happens. There's my conspiracy theory for the day. I got to tell you, I hate all these conspiracy theories that are out there, but this one, the consistency with which the overstatement has happened starts to look a little suspect. So that's all I got. I'm Bill. I'm with Franklin Loan Center, and I'll see you all next week.